This video is not for persons under the age of 13. By watching this video, you are declaring that you are above 13 years of age. Hello and welcome to today's video. It's going to be a watercolour painting that I'm going to split off into probably 3 parts. The image itself is a composite of 2 different paintings or pictures. The background and river are all one, but I've added this boat here to it to give this area a bit more interest. So that's what we'll do. What I will do today is get a blocking in done of the values that we need for the overall painting. In a second part of the painting, we'll look at painting this top half of the painting, and in the third part we'll finish the painting by doing this part. Now, what have I got for paper today? This is Jackson's Two Rivers paper, 300 grams or 140 pounds. It's cold press, and I would say it's rough paper, although it doesn't say anywhere on the packaging whether it is or not. That's the paper by Jackson's, so I thought I might as well use my Jackson's watercolour paints. So these are all Jackson's that I'm going to be using. So it's a Jackson's project by Ian Jackson, no relation to them. I don't think I am anyway. So that's what we're going to do. I'll show you the brushes in a minute. Just 1 or 2 more things that I'm going to be using. Obviously I'll be using some water here, and just off to the side here we've got a little dabbing rag to control the amount of water in my brushes. As we're just blocking in for the first part of the painting, I don't really need any super detailed brushes or anything like that, so I'm going to use this pointed mop brush. That's the company, I don't know how you pronounce that, but that's what it is. It's a decent brush. There's lots of pointed mops that you can get. This one's goat hair. We'll use that to get the blocking in done. So let's make a start with that then. Okay, the painting as a whole is done in what's called contre-jour, if that's how you pronounce it, or facing into the light, or having a strong light source in the background. So that makes most of the painting fairly silhouetted, although that doesn't make it boring, because we can add all sorts of different silhouette colours into that. The light source is coming from there, and obviously it's going to be quite light this side, and as we move over to this side it's going to be cooler and bluer, and that will be the case as we come closer and closer. And with contre-jour painting and atmospheric perspective, things that are far away are quite dull and grey, and as you get closer and closer, say for example this, it will be sharper and darker. So we've got to try and get that in place. Right, working from light to dark, I'm going to get some lemon yellow. I'm going to put it in with a little bit of this white gouache and make it really, really light. Although I don't want it to be absolutely totally white. And that's enough there. Right, making sure that this is quite watery. There we go. And round here we're just gonna get the paper wet. It doesn't matter about going over that at this moment in time. And bring it right down to this area. So we've got a kind of a light toning in on the. I don't want to do too much down here because I want that to be ripply later. So I'm trying to keep a few bits of white in it. And one of the best things to do with that is see if I can do that. There we go. Just use one of those magic sponges to dry it off a little bit. Now I'm going to leave this layer to dry for a short while, apart from this area here, which I'm going to put a little bit of blue in. Now again, I'm going to get my base blue, and I don't know whether that's going to be the right lightness, and just into a bit of sky there, only a bit, like that. Maybe a tiny bit stronger there. And because this bit here is water, I'm gonna tap off a little bit so it's almost dry, and then just flick it like that. Just in certain areas, not absolutely everywhere, because this is only the beginning section, and we can put, because this area here is going to be dark, we can put some of that blue in anyway. In fact, let's get some darkish blue in there, just to indicate that that's a dark area. So that's what blocking in's all about. It's not necessarily the colours, it's getting you some tonal values in place so you know what's going to be there at some point. And round there as well, we'll put some. There's a piece of land there. Now I put that blue on it, I'm going to put a little bit of yellow on it, because that's grass, so that's going to be eventually a greeny colour. And then we'll just bring that down a little bit to indicate some of the reflection. So, and again, it's we're just really trying to build an idea of where we're going in this painting. I'm going to bring that down a bit, and that and that. Don't want to overcover this because I might want to introduce some of this. In fact, let's do that. Bring that down there first, and then Make that really wet. We're going to go over this area. It's just it adds value to the painting if you can have other colours in it. Now there's a little bit of brown there. I don't want it that dark, and I've got to be careful here because I'm gonna wet it off. I don't want it to be too wet, this brush, because it could bleed out if I'm not careful. And I'm just going to hint at the idea that that's going to be a grey brown colour. This is the area I'm being careful at. And at that side there, at the what we're viewing left hand side, that's going to be darker. So I'll get some of that blue, and I'm just going to tease some of that there. So you've got that idea of warm and light, because light's coming that side. And obviously, because that's a dark thing, this will also be a dark thing. So I'm going to get some of what I've got there, some like, it's a grey blue colour. I'm going to add a teeny bit of get some of that brown that we've got there, and I'm going to dab a straw like that. And that area around there as well has a similar kind of greyness, and it brings it up there as well. That has like a greyness. There's a tree there that we'll paint in later that also casts a very long shadow. Well, it's a reflection, but it's also a shadow as well. So we've got the beginnings of that there, and then there's bits of tree that come down like that. And there's a definite line there, and bits of area like that. I'll put some more dark in that area, because I feel that's going to be a key feature. And there will be a tree there actually. You can't see it at the moment, and I won't do it now, but there are lots of trees and defined areas. There's something there as well. Let's get that tree in to start with. Seems like there's a bit of land there. The only thing I need to do now is get a slightly more precise brush and just block that in, really, and that's the blocking in done. So I've got myself a smaller brush. This is a Japanese or Chinese calligraphy brush. It has a very nice point on it when it's wet, and you can do some really good details with it. So I'm just going to get a base colour in it, which is a fairly strong dark blue, and I want that a little bit bluer. There you go. It's almost like a Payne's grey, and literally I'm just going to basically block it in. And I'm not being overly detailed with this. If it does hit and miss, that's a good thing, because that leaves a few bits of light that's hitting various other areas, which is a good thing. For example, like that, it kind of hit as we got closer, and there were less paint in the brush, the roughness of the paper like made it hit and miss. You're not going to see as much hit and miss in the farther away section. So we're just randomly creating effects here, and if it looks a bit ripply, that's a good thing, because that's exactly what it is. I mean, that's where the roughness of the paper is working for you. Sometimes when you're doing detail, it doesn't always work like that. It can be a pain to work on very rough paper. And as we get here, I'm going to leave a lot more highlights. As we get to these closer people, what you sometimes tend to end up seeing is some of the other colours that exist on the person. It's not all shadowed, and some of the colours do show through. So as you get closer, obviously you'll get more detail in that sense. So I'm going to bring it like that and just pull it with my fingers, and that will give it a sense of movement. Don't want to overdo that though. So just one or two more bits to fill in, and remember this is just blocking things in. This is by no means finished. So I've got that to do, and in theory there should be something straggling off like that. I don't want to be going into hyper detail at this moment in time, but we're trying to get something that looks a little bit like what it should do. And for this moment in time, for blocking in, that's my painting done. The next stage will be coming back up here and then starting to block in the tonal values, more details, more colour saturation, and completing that part. And then on the third session we will look at this part in exactly the same way, getting all the details and the tonal values in. So I hope you've enjoyed this first part, and we'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.